Okay, we're in the home stretch. It's getting dark outside, but hopefully you can still see what I'm doing on the video. Okay, I've taken my bias tape and I've pinned it all the way around. You're going to have to ease it in a little bit around the brim of the hat here. And if you have any overflow that you don't want, just take your scissors and trim it down. But you still want to have a little bit of a overlap from that little 1/4 of an inch turn in that you had. So that way that when you turn it over, you won't see any of the raw edges. Okay, so now I've got all my bias tape pinned in the cap, so I'm going to go ahead and just start it. I'm going to sew with my bias tape against my pressure foot. So I can see what I'm doing and I don't catch the inside of my cap. You can try doing it the other way if it's easier for you, but from what I've done in the past, it seems that it's easier if you have the bias tape next to the pressure foot, the feeder feet. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to sew all the way around because I'm just attaching the bias tape. Once we get to the brim around the edge here, I'm going to reinforce the stitching back and forth a few times, just for some security. It's probably hard to see because of the way this comes up in the front. Okay, so now I'm at the side right now where the cap is. So I'm going to go back and forth a few times. One, two. I'm just going to use my back stitch and my forward stitch until I get back to my 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to continue on. Okay, so now I'm at the actual front part of the brim, and I'm just sewing. And the reason I'm sewing this way, not only I can see where my previous stitch was, but I can also try and work out any gathers that I don't want in my final product. Okay, there's that. Okay, so I'm still working my way around. Okay, now I'm up to my second edge of my rim, so I'm going to do the same thing when I get here. I'm going to go back and forth a few times. Get back to that 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Okay, almost there. Okay. All the way around. We've attached our bias tape around the entire bottom of the cap, and we're going to see how it looks. Okay. Okay, that one caught really good. See how it is? I don't know if you can see or not, but it looks really good there in that edge. And this edge is all inside there, covered up. Okay, it looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to put some elastic in here. Oops. You need about a 2-inch strip of elastic. It's up to you whether you use a 1/4-inch elastic or 1/8 of an inch elastic. It doesn't matter. Either one of them works well. So it's, you know, whatever you have, a personal preference thing. I like my elastic not to show so much, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to stretch it across the back like this, so that when it's done sewing it will bring it back forward. So I need 2 inches, maybe 2 1/4, and make a little snip. Okay, I do this directly on the cap. You can probably try if you want to sew it on the internal seam, but I don't think it looks that good with that big of a puff. So what I did is I sewed it directly across the back of the hat. If you don't like that, then you can try it a different way, but you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me, but you know, it's like I say, it's a personal preference thing. Okay, so I'm going to put my cap here, and I'm going to attach it right above the seam line. I'm just going to do a couple stitches in it, just to hold it down so when I pull it, it'll still be attached. Okay, it's in there. Okay, so I'm going to pull my bias tape out, and I'm going to stretch this all the way across to the opposite side. And as it's stretched, make sure your bias tape is out of the way, and just so. Okay, stretch it some more. Home free. Okay. So now we've got our elastic strap on the back. The final step now is just to turn your bias tape underneath and stitch it down all the way. Okay. So now that's done. Okay, so now I'm going to take my pins, and I'm going to, if I need to trim any of my edges, I'll trim them now so that when I turn this under, you don't see any of the fabric. See, I don't want any of this to show. So I'm going to trim anything else that's going to show once I put my bias tape down. So let's turn that down and put a pin in it. I'm going to do that all the way around the entire cap, trimming and pinning until you get it all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to get that done, and then I'll come back and we'll put the last seam on here so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to have to trim this up a little bit so I can get the bias tape over it, so that when it goes to the front you don't see any of that, because I want it to look just like that. Okay, so I'm going to pin and trim until I get it all done, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've got it pinned down and I've got it trimmed as best I could. This is where trouble's going to find you if you have any trouble with these hats, because that's where I've had all my trouble, is right here around the brim. No matter how I tried or how hard I tried to get that smooth, it's just almost impossible. I even tried an extra wide bias tape thinking that would solve the problem, and there just really isn't easy way of doing it. You're going to end up with a little bit of gathers. I've tried it, this is my 4th time, and I've had gathers every single time. no matter how careful I've tried to be on these things, that's where you're going to have a little bit of trouble, is right here. But anyway, I've got it pinned down, so let me try my best and see if I can get it so it doesn't look very bad from the front. But I don't know how else to tell you to do it, but just do it and hope for the best. Okay, also here on the back, you have to stretch this because you've got the elastic in there, so I usually start just this side of the 1/4 of an inch turn under. Okay, so here goes. I'm just going to eyeball the edging of this, so I have my needle in the middle position. And I'm stretching it so I can get past that elastic. I'm going to keep my pins in as long as possible. Okay, so now we're at the first edge of the brim, and I'm just going to keep sewing like I was doing it the rest of the way. Okay. Okay, this is where all of the fabric is gathered on the bottom, so I'm going to just keep going and hope for the best. Let's swing this around a little bit. This is it, the moment of truth. I did a lousy job. Right there. Well, maybe I can just get it tweaked a little bit. Yeah, see, it does it to me every time. I'm kind of wondering if I instead of going straight for a final stitching, is to do a little basting in there first and see if that will help. And then I can remove the basting stitches to make it look better in the front. Yeah, I'll try that on the next one when I make another one. But anyway, that is your cap. Like I said, you can get a button, metal button, and cover it with either the red or the corduroy, and put that on top. So there we go. Let me here. Yeah. Kyla in her new cap. Yeah, it did. I'm going to have to take this stitch out and try it again. I don't like that at all. So I'll fix that. And, but anyway, that's her hat. She can wear it either way. She can wear it sideways. And there you go. Yep, that's going to have to be fixed. Alright, so I'm going to take that out and fix it. But anyway, that's a baseball cap. And hopefully you'll have better luck on, it could be because it's corduroy too, because it didn't, maybe I'm just a little too particular. Anyway, there you go, and there is her pretty cap. Alright, thanks for watching.